building sank into the ground on Bale Road in Ajuon, Ifo local government area of Ogun State. Court of Appeal in Abuja set aside a judgment directing INEC to deregister the African Democratic Congress and 4 other political parties over constitutional requirements. The Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum decries the lack of internal democracy within political parties following primaries conducted ahead of the 2027 general elections. And many people are trapped inside the Japanese shopping center following a powerful earthquake in Kumamoto Prefecture. And Falcons begin title defense at the ongoing Women Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco.
And on business news, 5 African countries, including Nigeria, account for 70% of the continent's oil and gas investments, and that's according to the International Energy Agency.
From the nation's capital, viral hepatitis kills 1.3 million people annually, says World Health Organization, as Nigeria intensifies awareness, free screening, early detection campaigns nationwide.
We start off tonight with the recently collapsed 2-story structure on Bale Road in Ajuon area of Ifo local government of Ogun State. And in the aftermath of this tragic incident, which is one too many, adjoining buildings will now be demolished. Ogun State Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Mr. Ade Akisoya, and Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Olufemi Okelsoyintolu, disclosed this to newsmen at the scene of the disaster. According to the officials, the existing buildings are posing serious threats to the lives of the occupants in the area, and caution must be taken to forestall a recurrence.
Bale Road in Ajuon, Ifo local government area of Ogun State, currently cordoned off by the police following the collapse of this building on Monday after a rainfall. 3 lives have been lost so far. Residents are still in shock, unable to express their feelings, as this tragedy was unexpected. Bukola Oshifuwa's shop is opposite the collapsed building. All she remembers when the incident happened is a big bang.
We're at our shop, in front of our shop, discussing, me and my neighbor. All of a sudden, we just hear, wow. Everywhere was white, so we ran. We ran. We ran. We don't really know what really happened then. We were even thinking maybe it was fire outbreak. So it was when we were running away, one boy was now shouting that our mom is inside the house, our mom is inside the house. That was when we now come back and saw that this thing. We were now shouting that, because one of our neighbors is selling clothes downstairs on the ground floor. We're not shouting that, where's the Yanu, where's the Yanu, where's the Yanu?
Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun has ordered a comprehensive technical investigation into the collapse, while promising that anyone found to have violated approved building regulations, deviated from approved plans, or compromised construction standards would be prosecuted in accordance with the law. In the meantime, officials from both Lagos and Ogun State who visited the site say more buildings will go down for safety reasons.
The main thing by the His Excellencies is we need to protect life, do what we can do to assure everything is okay. I've said, luckily we're able to recover some people alive, and unfortunately, may their soul rest in peace, we have 3 dead bodies.
It is worthy to know that it is a high level of collaboration It is an interstate emergency response approach that see the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, from Lagos State and Oyo State, combining efforts with LASEMA and, of course, the Ogun State Emergency Management to ensure that the situation that we have here is put to rest. According to the standard operation procedure, that is what we call mitigation part of the emergency management. Any structure that is not stable, the government of Ogun State will look at it.
The Ogun State government is urging property developers, builders, artisans and residents to obtain all statutory approvals before commencing any construction project and to adhere strictly to approved building plans and specifications issued by the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development.
Well, elsewhere in Anambra State and staying with the issue of collapsed buildings, the Deputy Governor, Dr. Onyekachukwu Ubezim, who represented Governor Chukwuma Soludo, spoke, stressing that safeguarding lives is a shared responsibility between government and citizens, insisting that profit must never take precedence over public safety. On the directive concerning immediate commencement of comprehensive technical and structural integrity assessment of buildings in the area, he says the exercise will become a routine measure across the state to help prevent future disasters.
This is just one that happened recently in a private hostel in Oku, not a school hostel, not within the school premises. The school is quite large. It's an institution that has expanded some decades, and it's expected that there must be an expansion of population. So students live out. But the state I wish to bring our sincere condolences to the family of the two deceased, a young man and a young girl. I spoke with the rector, Dr. Chioma Awazian. She actually confirmed to me that they are not students of the institution and the building is mixed. However, they are our own people, they are our own people. And when an incident like this occurs, we are pained as a government.
The leadership of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria have voiced their concerns about the electoral processes, security, and the quality of life in the country. The body, led by its president, Most Reverend Matthew Ndagoso, stated this and other concerns during a meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the State House. The Catholic priest called on the president to be at the forefront in demanding that INEC delivers credible elections.
There have been growing concerns about the electoral processes. We note the efforts being made to ensure that the elections are free, fair, and credible. It is our hope that you be on the forefront in demanding that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, delivers credible elections to ensure that Nigeria is set on the path of national development and integrity. This ought to start with making voters' cards easily available to all eligible voters and end with election results that reflect the true choice of Nigerians. We congratulate you for the recent successful release of the kidnapped school children and their teachers in Oyo State. The arrest of some of the kidnappers and their speedy prosecution is one of the few positive indicators of what a willing government and its agencies could do to protect the life and property of citizens. We believe that the problems and burdens of our nation require sincere commitment to good governance for the common good, to the glory of God. We continue to pray for our dear country and I appeal to you to take seriously our pleas for greater collaboration between the church and the state for the overall well-being of our people.
Your key area is security or quality of life. I can tell you categorically, now with sincerity, that the country has been placed on sound footing. Sound footing. The economy has recovered. The alarm for bankruptcy, the dark tunnel of uncertainty that we entered into when I came in has changed. The spirit of the people and the economic tunnel that we've been passing through is now clearer. The economy is recovered and safe from bankruptcy. All is fair in politics and it's equal opportunity. INEC, you mentioned, are neutral. They've never intimidated anybody. If political opponents are crying wolves, maybe they are afraid of their own shadows and the uncertainty in the companies they keep. Not me.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu also had an opportunity to meet with the president-elect of the Nigerian Bar Association, Oyinkansola Badijo Okunsoya, as she called for unity and inclusive leadership following her victory. She is urging members to move past the election and work under her vision of a bolder bar that works for everyone. While speaking with journalists after the meeting with the president at the presidential villa, she said the president congratulated her on her election as the first elected female president of the NBA.
My swearing in is not until the end of August. In the meantime, I continue to reach out to members, to stakeholders, so that we can work together to improve things, to heal the hurt anyone has, and to just continue to ensure that we do things to make sure that the NBA continues to fulfill its role to society. Everything that needs to be done, I can assure members and the public that I will do. We'll make sure that we unite ourselves. We'll make sure that we put our house in order.
Governor Uba Sani has nominated the executive chairman of the Kaduna State Internal Revenue Service, Jerry Adams, as his running mate for the 2027 Kaduna State governorship poll. Now, the nomination marks the first time in 7 years that the ruling All Progressives Congress will field a Christian deputy governorship candidate in Kaduna following its Muslim tickets in the 2019 and 2023 elections. Governor Sani says the decision reflects his administration's commitments to inclusion, fairness, justice, and equitable representation, while rewarding competence, integrity, and dedicated public service. He described Mr. Adams as an accomplished public servant whose leadership at Kadirs has strengthened the state's internal generated revenue through key tax and financial management reforms. Mr. Adams' nomination is expected to generate significant political interest as preparations for next year's governorship poll gather momentum. In part two, after the break, African Action Congress presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore drops his plan to subpoena the DSS Director General as a witness in his ongoing trial for alleged defamation of President Bola Tinubu. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasted live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. At least 3 people are confirmed dead after a 2-story building sank into the ground on Bale Road in Ajuon, Ifo local government of Ogun State. Court of Appeal in Abuja set aside a judgment directing INEC to deregister the African Democratic Congress and 4 other political parties over constitutional requirements. The Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum decries the lack of internal democracy within political parties following primaries conducted ahead of next year's general elections. And many are trapped inside the Japanese shopping center following a powerful earthquake in Kumamoto Prefecture. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has vacated the judgment that directed the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to deregister the African Democratic Congress and 4 other political parties accused of failing to meet constitutional requirements. In a unanimous decision by a 3-member panel of justices, the Appellate Court held that the order which the Federal High Court issued to the electoral body on June the 15th amounted to a nullity. In its lead judgment, read by Justice Abba Mohammed, the Appellate Court held that the High Court wrongly assumed jurisdiction and made the order on an incompetent suit that was filed by a non-juristic entity. According to the court, there was no valid suit that could have warranted the consequential order that directed INEC to derecognize the political parties. It noted that the trial court failed to properly evaluate evidence placed before it, stressing that proof that the parties won various seats in previous elections was ignored. Consequently, the Appellate Court held that all the affected political parties remain duly registered. Aside from the ADC, the other parties whose registration the Appellate Court restored are the Action People's Party, Action Alliance, Accord Party, and the Zenith Labour Party. The Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum is decrying the lack of internal democracy among political parties ahead of next year's general elections. Speaking during a media briefing in Abuja, the leader of the forum, His Royal Highness Oba Olaitan Oladipo, says the just concluded party primaries showed absence of internal democracy, stating that candidates were imposed on the parties. The forum also demanded for INEC to be truly independent while charging the electoral body to bear responsibility for a free, fair and credible election.
Well, the SMBLF declared lack of internal democracy as witnessed in the ongoing primaries, not the political parties. The essence of democracy is the free choice by the people. The situation of one person or an oligarchy of a few choosing candidates in a political system that excludes independent candidates or freely chosen candidates, not independent, freely chosen candidates is antithetical to democracy and national development. There shall remain a thriving multi-party constitutional democracy which allows for freely chosen candidates. Before now, the onus of proof on election matters has always been on the candidate, not on INEC. And unless, if you want to sanitize this country, if you want to put it right, EU accuses proofs. The INEC should be the one, they prepare the documents, they conducted the elections, they should be the body to say, yes, this is what we conducted, and these are the results we provided. It's not for the victim now to start, who was not a party to how the professor prepared, is now, you now put the onus of proof on him.
Online publisher and presidential candidate of the African Action Congress AAC, Omoyele Sowore, has jettisoned his plan to invite the Director General of the Department of State Services, Oluwatosin Ajayi, as his witness in his ongoing trial for alleged criminal defamation of President Bola Tinubu on social media. Mr. Sowore told the Federal High Court Abuja that the evidence for which he had earlier subpoenaed the DSS boss could be obtained from any other official of the service. At the day's proceedings, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, led the prosecution on behalf of the federal government for the first time. The AGF had objected to the subpoena issued on the DSS boss on the ground that the document he was to give evidence upon was not authored by him, but another person who had already testified in the matter. He argued that the letter by the DSS advising Mr. Sowore to pull down the post wherein he called President Tinubu a criminal had been tendered and admitted as exhibits twice by the same court. Hence, no reason for it to be tendered the third time. The AGF argued that the author of the letter, Mr. Owen Davis, had on July the 22nd testified for Mr. Sowore in the trial and that the document is already in the custody of the court. A counsel for Mr. Sowore, Mr. Olumide Fushika, had objected to the appearance of the Attorney General in the matter on the ground that Mr. Akinlolu Kehinde was the federal government's lawyer in the court's record. The presiding judge, Mohammed Umar, subsequently adjourned the case to August the 3rd for continuation of defense. In spite of the clamor for safe schools in the country, an attack by armed robbers happened at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University in Bauchi, a situation that left some female students in a state of shock and panic as they lost their valuables in their hostel to the hoodlums in the early hours of Monday, July the 27th. Now, the Bauchi State Police Command says it has already launched an investigation into the incident and assures stakeholders that those responsible will be arrested and prosecuted. Our correspondent, Hajara Aliyu, reports.
About 17 kilometers from the Bauchi metropolis lies the Gube campus of Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University. The university's female hostel Block B was reportedly breached by suspected hoodlums in the early hours of Monday at about 2 a.m. Some of the students recounted how the suspects gained access to the hostel, alleging that they cut through the barbed wire fence before using a ladder to enter the premises.
At about 2 a.m. this morning, we got some guys that came into the hostel and patched into different rooms. They were literally sectioned in different rooms, which they got in and were literally asking for your life or your phone. So they were able to access some certain valuables like phones. So it was done within 3 minutes. It was not far. It was within 3 minutes and they left.
Our main fear is if they come in here and they match us out, we do not want to be another Chibok girls. We do not want to be used for campaign. We do not want to hear she had a bright future. We want to stay here and live our bright future. So please, we cannot wait 45 minutes for the security to drive from town to this place.
University authority reassures parents and students, stating that additional security measures are being put in place to prevent a recurrence.
What the Vice Chancellor did is, number one, to assure them that, number one, the investigation going on will lead us somewhere. Number two, the university will take stock of all the loopholes.
The Bauchi State Police Command says the suspects had fled before officers arrived at the scene. However, investigations are ongoing and efforts are underway to track down and arrest those responsible.
We discovered that about 8 rooms of the female hostel were burgled in and about 20 handsets of different types were stolen from them or robbed from them. Presently, CP Sano Mallory have already deployed or sent a team to the school to meet with the security committee.
The Bauchi State Safe School Implementation Task Force was inaugurated in March this year to help prevent incidents of insecurity in schools. However, following the recent attacks, many residents are calling for more proactive security measures to better protect students and educational institutions. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Elsewhere in Ogun State, tragedy struck in Iwekuro local government area in another attack that left a final-year female accounting student of DS Adegbenro Polytechnic shot dead by suspected armed men, while 2 others were injured in the violence that happened in the early hours of today at an off-campus residence. According to eyewitness accounts, the armed men invaded Iruku village, where the student off-campus residence is located, around 12:30 a.m., while the students were asleep. Sadly, the young woman was shot as the attackers fled the scene without even taking anything.
Iruku village, situated in Iwekuro axis of Ogun State, lies some 25 kilometers from Abeokuta, the state capital. It's home to many students of DS Adegbenro Polytechnic. The area was thrown into panic in the early hours of Tuesday after gunmen attacked the community. Residents and student leaders say the attackers stormed a house occupied by students, killing a final year student and leaving 2 others with gunshot wounds.
At exactly 12:30 a.m., some armed robbers came to the house. So when they got to the house, they were unable to access some apartments in that compound. So the only apartment that they were able to access was the lady's apartment. So immediately they were able to barge into the apartment. The ladies in the apartment are just 2. So one of them ran into the kitchen and the other lady ran into the toilet. The one that has ammunition with him followed the other lady to the kitchen. So they did not ask them for anything. Maybe they thought the lady was screen recording or videoing them. The only thing they did was they shot her immediately.
The rector of the institution, Dr. Guke Rauf, sympathizes with the family of the student who died and called on security agencies to thoroughly investigate the attack and ensure those responsible are brought to justice.
This is not a cultism mafia problem. It is basically armed robbery that happened overnight. And the DPO and the area commander have been here since morning. They've been doing their best, and I can assure you that they have started the investigation already. The security people have started the DSS, all of them have been on it. And I want to assure you that within a very short time, we will get to the root of this matter.
On his part, the chairman of the governing board, Mr. Toye Okolawo, urges residents and students to remain vigilant as he announces a temporary closure of the institution to allow normalcy to return.
I can assure you the government is doing their best. And for what happened today, by the grace of Almighty God, the entire community will rise and will protect every student, and will protect the entire community, and we pray that by the grace of God, things of this nature will never happen again.
In protest, the students marched peacefully to the palace of the traditional ruler before barricading the Abeokuta-Songo Expressway, causing heavy traffic and leaving commuters stranded for several hours.
Still ahead on the news at 10:05, African countries, including Nigeria, account for 70% of the continent's oil and gas investment, according to the International Energy Agency. That's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. Let's now head to the nation's capital, where Millicent Walker is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Millicent.
And thanks, Sunday. Well, the World Health Organization says viral hepatitis claims about 1.3 million lives every year, making it one of the world's deadliest infectious diseases, despite being preventable, treatable, and in some cases curable. As the world marks the 2026 World Hepatitis Day, health authorities and stakeholders across Nigeria are intensifying awareness campaigns, free screening exercises, and calling for early detection to reduce the burden of the disease.
Across the world, hepatitis continues to pose a major public health challenge, claiming thousands of lives. The theme for this year's World Hepatitis Day, Hepatitis, Let's Break It Down, seeks to scale up prevention, testing, treatment, and engage communities to accelerate progress towards the global goal of eliminating the disease as a public health threat by 2030. According to the World Health Organization, about 20 million Nigerians are living with chronic hepatitis B or C, with hepatitis B prevalent in approximately 8.1% of the population. Nigeria is currently amongst 10 countries that account for nearly 2/3 of the global hepatitis burden and hepatitis-related deaths. Despite the availability of vaccination and treatment, over 90% of those infected in Nigeria are undiagnosed and unknowingly transmit the virus to others, including children. In the nation's capital, the FCT Health Services and Environment Secretariat is commemorating the day with a free hepatitis screening and awareness campaign in the Gariki community. Residents have turned out as health workers conduct blood tests, offer counseling, and educate residents on the importance of vaccination, early diagnosis, and prompt treatment.
Creating awareness, raising the index of suspicion for healthcare workers, and also informing the communities on what their own part it is to play in protecting themselves against hepatitis. So what the government is doing now is being more intentional in creating the awareness, in raising the alarm that the levels of hepatitis that we're seeing is very high.
At the School of Nursing Yola in Adamawa State, officials of health agencies gather to sensitize residents as the state government reaffirmed its commitment to combating hepatitis and other infectious diseases.
I express my profound appreciation to His Excellency, Right Honorable Amadou Umaru Fintiri, the Executive Governor of Adamawa State, whose visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to strengthening the health system have continued to improve access to quality health care services across the state.
Meanwhile, in Jos, the Plateau State government is strengthening vaccination and improving access to treatment in line with the 2030 targets of the WHO. The government is also urging residents to take advantage of the free screening exercise to know their hepatitis status.
The fight against viral hepatitis belongs to all of us, and every healthcare worker who offers compassionate care, every community leader who raises awareness, and every journalist who broadcasts accurate information, and every citizen who steps forward to know their status.
With millions of Nigerians still unaware of their hepatitis status, health experts say awareness alone is not enough. The experts suggest that expanding access to screening, vaccination and treatment will determine if Nigeria can meet the global target of eliminating viral hepatitis as a public health threat by 2030. From Abuja, Victoria Longchon, Channels Television News.
It's another day of project inspections across the FCT as the Minister Nyesom Wike declared that Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State has committed no wrongdoing after reconciling with his political camp, stating that there is no sin in politics. Mr. Wike, while addressing journalists, said Governor Fubara's decision to return to the political family that produced him is the right step and would strengthen efforts to mobilize support for President Bola Tinubu's re-election in 2027.
Top officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, led by the FCT Minister, are here to inspect some ongoing projects, including the ISEX Road Corridor and the Apokarshi Road in the nation's capital. This comes barely 10 days after the FCT administration concluded a month-long project commissioning and flag-off in the territory. Inspecting the ISEX Road Corridor, the minister said work commenced immediately after President Tinubu flagged off the project during activities marking the administration's third-year anniversary. According to him, the contractor has assured the government that the project will be ready for commissioning in December.
So this is what they call leadership, which is lacking. But now I have a leadership that says continue with projects that are very important to the development of the city, with projects that are very important to change the landscape of the city, with development that will totally improve the economy of the city. That's why everybody is happy with what is happening in Abuja.
The minister used the opportunity to respond to the latest political developments in Rivers State, especially concerning the reconciliation with Governor Siminalayi Fubara.
If a man we did not try to look good for him, that you must follow this charter, don't follow that charter. Of course, you make mistakes. And what's important that you realize that you have made a mistake and you correct them. That's what's important. There's nothing like, it's only God that forgives sin. In politics, there's no sin. Just for you to realize that, look, I don't think I am taking the right step. He has made it to the public to say that he has come back to where he started from. Receive him with all good minds, nothing to hide. We all work together to make sure that we give Mr. President the required votes to continue.
The minister further pledged to fulfill promises made by his administration, particularly by engaging in projects that would improve the living conditions of residents.
And 3 exceptionally talented secondary school students have emerged as top winners at the Lagos Grand Finale of the 2026 Santex Paint Your Dream Challenge. The students took home cash prizes totaling more than 2 million naira after their entries impressed the judging panel with a depth of storytelling, creativity, imagination, and original painting technique.
Colorful canvases take over the hall as young artists from secondary schools across the region put their creativity on display. This is the 2026 Santex Paint Your Dream Challenge Regional Grand Finale in Lagos.
The creativity you have demonstrated through this competition has shown us that Nigeria's future is bright because it is filled with young people who are willing to dream beyond limitations.
From 17 participating schools, 8 made it to the regional finale, where they presented and defended their works before a panel of judges.
There's a community center. This allows different people in
For the chief judge, the competition is about more than winning. It's an opportunity to identify and encourage the next generation of creative talents.
We looked at presentation and compliance. We looked at the essay, because of course, having produced such kind of artwork, we have to understand what you have in your mind. For the grand champion,
and then the moment every competitor had been waiting for.
26 is Akan Elizabeth.
Akan Elizabeth emerges as the overall winner of the 2026 Santex Paint Your Dream Challenge. All 8 finalist schools received certificates and prizes, while the top 3 students share more than 2 million naira in cash prizes. For the management of Chemical and Allied Products PLC, the parent company of Santex Paints in Nigeria, the initiative is part of its broader commitment to promoting youth education, creativity, and leadership.
This initiative has brought a lot of brand awareness, brand trust, and relationship between schools and communities. The children are actually brought out their best, their creativity, which has gone beyond just commercial transactions.
The Paint Your Dream Challenge, now in its 2026 edition, continues to provide secondary school students with a platform to imagine, create, and articulate their visions for a better future.
A proud winner. Well, FCMB Group PLC has unveiled a 20 billion naira healthcare fund to boost private sector-led healthcare SMEs. The dedicated financing initiative was announced at the bank's maiden healthcare summit in Lagos, where stakeholders explored financing and partnership opportunities to improve healthcare delivery. The fund is designed to support healthcare providers with working capital and enhance operational efficiency, reinforcing FCMB's commitment to expanding access to sustainable financial solutions for the industry.
Against the backdrop of challenges facing Nigeria's healthcare sector, FCMB Group convenes its maiden healthcare summit, bringing together industry stakeholders to explore sustainable financing solutions for the industry. FCMB says limited access to affordable long-term financing remains one of the biggest obstacles to healthcare expansion, noting that stronger collaboration between the public and private sectors is essential to improving healthcare delivery.
How do we ensure that every naira we mobilize translates into what Nigerians can really feel? More hospital capacity, faster diagnosis, better equipment, stronger healthcare professionals, and care for families when it truly matters. We must tackle this problem together. The government certainly cannot solve this with policy alone, and investors will not solve this with capital alone. It would take all of us. But to be candid about what is holding us back, challenge assumptions, share what is working, and build solutions that can move the healthcare sector forward.
In his keynote address, the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare says private capital must complement public investment to bridge Nigeria's healthcare financing gap and expand access to quality care.
Government cannot build Nigeria's healthcare future on public financing alone, and the private sector cannot do so without the policy certainty, risk-sharing instruments, and guaranteed demand that only government can provide. What this summit represents and what the MCMB dedicated healthcare fund we launched today embodies is that convergence.
Participants identify practical strategies to drive healthcare SMEs, including affordable access to capital and capacity building. FCMB also showcases its healthcare-focused financial solutions, highlighting financing options for infrastructure expansion, equipment acquisition, working capital, and long-term business growth. The major highlight is the launch of the group's 20 billion naira SME healthcare fund.
I think this is very instrumental because it will help enhance not just the scale, but the scope of services being delivered by the health SMEs.
I think with the proposals about 20 billion naira, we can, help to support those medium-sized and small SMEs. And the process has been streamlined, and based on our understanding of that industries and that market, so pretty much like using a checklist approach to make it a lot more faster and approvals almost instant.
With the launch of the healthcare fund, FCMB says it is positioning itself to supporting the healthcare ecosystem, not just as a lender, but as a long-term partner.
And that's it from the nation's capital. Over now to Will Ebong with business news.
Thank you, Millicent. Now, 5 African countries continue to attract the bulk of upstream oil and gas investment despite growing interest in emerging energy markets across the continent. And that's according to the International Energy Agency, IEA. The agency, in its 2026 World Energy Investment Report, estimates that Nigeria, Algeria, Angola, Egypt, and Libya account for about 70% of upstream investments and 80% of Africa's oil and gas production. The IEA, however, notes that investor interest is gradually shifting towards emerging producers such as Namibia, Mozambique, Senegal, and Uganda, where recent discoveries and new energy projects are attracting fresh capital. With that, we head to the domestic equities markets, which rebounded in today's trading session as investors track insurance stocks. Ladi Williams has more.
Hello and welcome to the stock market report. Well, after that blip yesterday, we see the bulls are back today for this final trading week of July. 0.30% higher, 247,000 for the all-share index. And we see the market cap there. It's smack on. It's about 160 at this point, if you want to approximate it. Let's look at other parts now of the market. See the gainers, Lasaco, closing at 2 naira 20 kobo, up full 10%. Lincoln Shore, 1 naira 66 kobo, up 9.93%. So we're seeing the insurance names coming out to play today. Let's look at the laggards for today's trade. And we see Maya there topping 9.97% lower. And Mercure, that's pharmaceuticals, 56 naira 20 kobo. So we see the bulls trying to take back this last trading week of July. We'll find out.
Can the bulls make it? We'll find out, Laddie. And let's check out the closing numbers for other major equities around the world. that's business news. I'm Will Ibong. It's back to Ayo for more on the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Will. The search is on for survivors at a mall in Kumamoto, Japan, where several people are said to be trapped underneath the rubble. Several people are also said to be missing at a paper factory in the region. This follows a 7.1 magnitude earthquake that hit the area this morning. Currently, more than 40,000 households are without power in the aftermath of the quake. Here's Simon Puser with more international news in Around the World in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake has hit southern Japan, killing and injuring dozens of people and leaving 40,000 homes without power. Several deaths have been confirmed at a shopping centre that collapsed in Kumamoto, with dozens more feared trapped. Meanwhile, multiple people are unaccounted for after a chimney collapsed at a factory in Kumamoto at a major manufacturing facility in the area. One hospital has recorded more than 50 injuries and another has reported 40, including 10 people in a serious condition. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has met Donald Trump at the White House, where it's thought Patriot missiles were on the agenda in discussions. Zelensky is visiting Trump before attending the funeral of Senator Lindsey Graham.
He treated everybody the same because he was fascinated and he loved every single person.
Graham was a passionate supporter of Ukraine in its war against Russia, persuading Trump to keep supplying arms to the country and keep up economic sanctions on Russia. Meanwhile, Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump have discussed the ongoing war with Iran, his first face-to-face talks with President Trump since the war began. The US delegation has walked out of a UN Security Council meeting in protest at comments made by France that compared Washington's voting on human rights to that of authoritarian states. The diplomatic row was initially sparked last week when the US joined North Korea and Russia in voting against extending Volker Turk's term as UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. After the vote on Friday, France's UN mission criticized the US and compared it to North Korea and Russia. Posting on X, it said the US used to be a beacon of human rights, not anymore.
That is why we walked out during France's intervention. This disingenuous grandstanding is tiresome, but we have tolerated it out of a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect as P5 members.
Sudan's army says it has taken full control of the strategic highway linking Khartoum to North Kordofan state after 2 days of fierce fighting with the Rapid Support Forces. Hours later, paramilitary drone strikes hit the flashpoint city of El Obeid. An RSF commander has since given field commanders autonomy to launch offensives without central orders following the setback. The Democratic Republic of Congo's Ebola outbreak has surged to 3,200 confirmed cases and 1,405 deaths. Government data released shows around 1,000 new infections in just 10 days. Nearly 90% of cases are in northeastern Ituri province bordering Uganda and South Sudan. The outbreak, declared in May, is a strain for which there is no approved vaccine or treatment. Firefighters in France are working around the clock to contain wildfires that have been raging in the Gironde region, while bracing for another sharp rise in temperatures. 4 firefighters have died in recent weeks across France, while 2,000 had been deployed in the Gironde to contain the flames, which for days has ravaged the countryside between the coastline and Bordeaux. A local official warned the weather conditions were unfavourable as the summer's 4th heatwave was expected to start by Wednesday, bringing temperatures in the area to 40 degrees Celsius. Johnson & Johnson has offered to pay as much as $5.5 billion to resolve tens of thousands of lawsuits in the US, alleging that its baby powder and other products contained talcum that causes ovarian cancer. The proposed landmark settlement aims to close a long-running legal battle that has weighed on the New Jersey-based healthcare giant for years. Johnson & Johnson has denied that its talc-based products caused cancer and has changed the formula of its widely used baby powder. And a Lincoln woman has been reunited with her dog, Chong, for more than 5 years after it went missing.
I still looked for him. We still went to our old neighborhood and drove around and looked to see if we could see anyone walking him or if he was running around somewhere.
Immaculada Jackman said she didn't stop searching for Chong after he escaped her home in 2021. He finally turned up outside a truck stop in Indiana after someone else had managed to microchip without realizing he already belonged to a family hundreds of miles away. Jackman's friend spotted a shelter's Facebook post about the stray, and the family drove out to bring Chong home 5 years on.
My friend sent me the post, and I just couldn't believe it.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Emmanuel Eseme stormed through torrential rain in Glasgow to claim Commonwealth Games gold for Cameroon in the men's 100 metres in a new Games record time of 9.83 seconds. Lachlan Kennedy of Australia claimed a surprise silver ahead of Nigeria's Koinsola Ajayi, who had to settle for bronze. Ajayi, however, becomes the first male Nigerian sprinter to win a 100 metres medal at the Commonwealth Games since Olusoji Fasuba won silver at the 2006 Melbourne Games. SM's time bellied the dreadful weather in Scotland as he broke Arto Bolden's Games record from 28 years ago in Kuala Lumpur. Malawi are a 3-1 up against defending champions and 10-time African champion, the Super Falcons of Nigeria, in a major upset at the ongoing WAFCON, the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Atemwa Chawinga and Tabitha Chawinga got the goals for Malawi. Captain Rashida Tajibade pulled one back via a penalty. Earlier, Barbara Banda delivered the captain's performance of the highest order as Zambia opened their campaign with a commanding 6-0 victory over Egypt at the Olympic Stadium in Rabat. And Zinedine Zidane has been appointed the head coach of Le Bleu of France earlier today, as widely expected, following the departure of Didier Deschamps. Now, the 54-year-old has long been viewed as the leading candidate for the role and has been waiting for an opportunity to take charge of the national team for several years. He will replace Deschamps, whose tenure began in 2012 and ended earlier this month after France finished 4th at the FIFA World Cup. And the main news again. At least 3 people were confirmed dead after a 2-story building sank into the ground on Bale Road in Ajuon, Ifo local government of Ogun State. And the Court of Appeal in Abuja set aside a judgment directing INEC to deregister the African Democratic Congress ADC and 4 other political parties over constitutional requirements. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night.